What is going on, boys, girls, Hoss, and Frostback? Welcome to the Saturday edition of the Stokastic NHL Strategy Show, where you can possibly win $31 on a Frosty from Wendy's. But, you know, we have an 8-game slate here. Actually, it's 5K up top. I shouldn't be talking shit about 5K. I would gladly take 5K right now. 8 games here. There's, 6 early games going on. I don't know why the GPPs are so bad. Like, I do, but like UFC's locking at 5 p.m. Eastern has nothing to do with NHL. There's no football, but you know, hopefully they come back strong after the Olympic break. But 8 here tonight. There's actually like a bunch of teams. There's 3 teams with the 3.5 total. So, you know, there's some interesting chalk spots here. I actually like this slate. I like slates where it feels easy to fade the chalk. I say that now, and I'm going to get buried by it. But joining me to break it down, Slim Cliffy. What's going on?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Nice, beautiful Saturday afternoon here. 2 days in a row with sunshine. I can't remember the last time that's happened.
In this economy?
Just one game last night. Columbus beat Chicago. Caught the third period. I will say, like, you know, you and I talk about Connor Bedard returning from his injury or whatever. Like, he looked pretty good. Like, I thought maybe, you know, a couple more games and then they have the Olympic break. I imagine he'll be, you know, pretty close to 100% when they come back from the Olympics. 8 games here tonight. DFS aside, looks like a pretty good night of hockey, right? Like, you have pretty important divisional matchup, Montreal and Buffalo. You have, and then 2 late games. You have Dallas and Utah, and then Minnesota and Edmonton. Like, those are 2, like those 4 teams could be the top 4 teams, like in the Western Conference. You know, in the second round when we get to the playoffs. So, just from a game watching perspective, this looks like a really good night. From a DFS perspective, this looks really, it does look very interesting because, like you said, there are 2 very chalky spots. I mean, you always have to consider it, and we'll certainly talk about it. But given the teams that are playing, like, I think you can, you know, reasonably fade them and feel pretty good about it, regardless of what actually happens tonight. So yeah, this looks like a pretty good slate all around.
What do you mean? You're not excited for Nashville Islanders and Toronto Vancouver?
I mean, like New Jersey Ottawa would be an interesting game. We'll get to it if everybody was healthy, which it certainly doesn't look like it. So, I mean, if New Jersey does something funky and pulls out a win like that could be interesting. So, I mean, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll get to the game here in a little bit, but just it looks like a really fun night of games.
Yeah, no, I actually agree. Like, there's many of slates where it's just like awful viewing. You're stuck choosing between like watching the Islanders or watching the Flyers, and you're just like, why did I choose this?
Yeah, and I mean, even this afternoon, you get Colorado and Detroit, and then the 5 Eastern game is Carolina Washington. So like, even this afternoon, like, there's some pretty good stuff to watch. So just like a good full day of hockey here. We don't have a DFS show tomorrow. I wish there was more games tomorrow. There's only 3 games tomorrow, but you do have the Stadium Series, so there's something. Either way, real good day of hockey. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and before we get into the slate, promo code PUCKLOCK will get you 15% off any subscription. Good. That was a terrible left hook, but good UFC pay-per-view tonight if you're interested in playing DFS. Get a weekly there for 15% off using promo code PUCKLOCK. Nice night of fights. Hockey coming up on the Olympic break, but I would assume there's going to be Olympic DFS. I'm not going to hold my breath, but
I don't remember there being any in 2014.
There was 4 nations last year. That's why the only reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I just think I'd say the one difference is like the 4 nations is like those are all NHL players from top to bottom. Like, once you get to the Olympics and you have the second tier teams where maybe you have 2 or 3 NHLers or 4 NHLers, and then the rest are all guys from, like, you know, the Swedish league or the Finnish league or the German league or whatever. Like, the pricing might be a little bit tough at that point.
I'm slamming the Latvia goalie. No, but like I'm sure there's going to be like once it gets to the elimination, there'll be showdowns and stuff. So at least, but whatever. I'll be in hibernation on our 3-week hiatus. But let's get into this slate. Start off with the Habs, Montreal Canadiens with a 3.2 total heading into Buffalo. Those juggernauts have a 3.3 total. Montreal going Suzuki, Caulfield, Texier, Kapanen, Slafkovsky, Demidov. The Sabres going Thompson, Benson, Tuck, McLeod, Zucker, Quinn, Ostlund, Doan, Costa, Helenis. Sounds like a bad guy from the next John Wick film. That's why I like that name so much. This is actually like there's like really good Western Conference games here tonight, but like this is actually a good Eastern Conference game. Both these teams battling for playoff spots. Buffalo's been on a tear. Montreal has been Montreal. Like I don't even know what Montreal's record is, but I know it's better than the Rangers, and that's all that matters. That top line for Montreal, 16,800, 7.5% top two, 5.2% projected ownership. Listen, positive leverage going into the Tage Thompson line is good. I don't know what else to say. Like, yeah, they've slowed down a tiny bit, but they still have 3.8 expected goals for per 60, 4.6 actual. That Thompson line in 80 plus minutes has been well below league average defensively. You get Suzuki and Caulfield on the top power play unit. Caulfield's been on an absolute ripper since, he got snubbed from Team USA, which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. I swear it's because he's short. But I do really like Montreal one here. There's only 2 lines above 20K here tonight. So like a 16,800 line really isn't priced in a range where like you're kind of screwed. Like there's plenty of mid-range lines you could do here. I know they're on the road, but like 3.2 total coming in with positive leverage against the line that isn't very good defensively. I'm in on. The second line, 12,800. I guess they're fine as a filler. Cliffy voiced concerns the last show about them breaking him up. I don't know if they did it last game in game, but
no,
they didn't.
No,
because
they beat the shit out of the Avs 7-3.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It was the Avs. Like 2 days ago was like a lifetime ago for me. So yeah, like I don't love them, but I don't mind them. You know what I mean? Like there isn't a matchup that I'm really concerned about. So if you needed a filler with 2 guys on the top power play unit, excuse me, I think Montreal 2 is fine, but it's definitely Montreal 1 for me. On the Buffalo side, that top line's 18K, 11.5% top 2, 7.8% projected ownership. Like they haven't been great. And the problem is this is a really good power play spot. And they're going to be going into the Suzuki line, which is the least ideal scenario if you're playing Montreal. Like, yeah, they're around league average, but like the other lines are severely worse. So again, like I would do some sort of power play stack here. Now, I know that Ostlund, Doan, Helenis didn't do anything last game, but Ostlund and Doan are 8K for the 2 of them on the top power play, getting middle 6 matchups against the Habs. You can leave off Helenis if you want to, add in Zucker, add in Thompson. If you add in Zucker, that line becomes 12-7, $100 cheaper than Montreal 2, fully correlated on the power play. If you wanted to add in the Rage and Tage Thompson, I think that's fine. But, listen, in the offseason, I thought that Utah definitely won that trade. I think it's the opposite now. Josh Doan looks like an absolute stud. I would find a way to make a power play stack with Ostlund and Doan just because they're both on the same line together on the power play, getting Montreal middle 6 matchup. So it would be that Buffalo third line just because of the power play, some sort of power play stack, and Montreal 1.
Yeah. From the Montreal side, the one thing that's kind of holding me back from really considering the Habs is like this isn't a very good power play spot for them, right? And this is a team where, the top guys aren't like power play merchants or anything, but like nearly half of Suzuki's points have come on the power play so far this season. Like this is like when the power play is rolling, That's when they really rack up the points. And like over the last 5 weeks, Buffalo is at 2.3 times shorthanded per game. It's the 4th lowest rate in the league. Over the course of the season, the 6th lowest rate of times shorthanded per game in the league. And the penalty kill itself has been very, very good all year. Like, over the course of the season, Buffalo's giving up the 4th fewest power play goals against per game. So like this isn't a very good power play spot for Montreal. Like they might not get a lot of chances. And besides that, the Buffalo PK has generally been good. So like I do like Montreal 1 because I think this is a good 5-on-5 matchup. Like, listen, I'm rooting for the Sabres to get to the playoffs just because I think they're a fun team to watch. They have been for years. Like they're just a team that I want to see in the postseason. With that said, their goaltending's been absolutely insane. If you go back to December 1st, Alex Lyon has 14 goals saved above expected in 11 games. Like that's like Spencer Knight was doing that in the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season, right? For Chicago. And then, look at what Chicago's done over the last 2 months. It's not very good. Like eventually that's going to crash. It's just like, does it happen now or does it happen, in March? That's kind of the question. So I do think Montreal 1 is in play here, just because there is positive leverage. And like you mentioned that they've slowed down, but like, obviously they're not like on this crazy scoring tear they were earlier. But since Texier's hat trick game, 90 minutes together, they're still at 71 shot attempts and 4.1 expected goals per 60.
That's slowing down.
Yeah, that's them slowing down. So like they've been really good. I think it's a really good 5-on-5 matchup for Montreal. I don't think it's a very good power play matchup. But at that price, like you don't need like 3 or 4 goals from them, right? If they get a couple goals, maybe Caulfield has a shot bonus, like you're probably okay. So I do like Montreal 1, but there are a lot of lines in that 15 to 17K range. They are like towards the top for me in that range, but they're not at the top. So like I'm not necessarily prioritizing them. I think Montreal 2 is perfectly fine here just because of the price drop, right? Like they're 12,800. This is a line that was like what, $1,500 to $2,000 more expensive just a couple weeks ago. They're coming in with positive leverage as well. I think they're okay as a filler at 12,800. No issues using them. But if I played Montreal, I'm probably just going on the top line. On the Buffalo side, like I'm of 2 minds of this because 1, it is a good power play matchup for Buffalo just because, we talk about it all the time. Montreal takes a ton of penalties. Over the last 5 weeks, 6th most time shorthanded per game over the course of the season, 6th most time shorthanded per game. So Buffalo should get a lot of power play opportunities. Here's the thing. Since they added Noah Ostlund to the top power play unit, that power play unit is generating 68 shot attempts per 60 minutes. That is horrific. Like top power plays in the league will generate twice that. What's happening is they're shooting 30%. Okay. So like if they're shooting 20%, I'd be like, that feels a little high. 30% is just, it's obscene. They're not going to come anywhere as close to keeping that up. So it's another case where, yes, it's on a hot streak like Buffalo has been for like 2 months now. It's going to come down. It's just a matter of when. I'm fine using Buffalo 1 here. Realistically, they haven't honestly been that good. I think for me, like I'm more interested in the Buffalo depth. Like I kind of agree with you. Like that third line with Hellenius and Doan and Ostlund, 10,800. Like they're one of those lines. Like if you're power play stacking Minnesota, if you're using Edmonton, like those types of things, I think that's where you use them. If you want to do Doan, Hellenius, Zucker or Doan, Hellenius, Thompson, like you said, turn it more into a power play stack. I think that's okay. Buffalo 2 is kind of interesting to me for McLeod, Quinn, and Zucker from this perspective. They generate a lot of expected goals. Now they give up a lot in return, but Quinn's on a nice little heater of late, 10 points in his last 10 games. McLeod typically plays like 17 to 18 minutes, so he gets good ice time, including shorthanded ice time where maybe he'll rack up a point or he can rack up shot blocks or something like that. I'm not focusing as much on the power play guys on either side here. I'm perfectly fine just playing one of the depth lines. I would probably go to Buffalo 2 just because I think that line's been together for a while. Sometimes you'll see like Doan moved up to the top line. Jordan Greenway might play tonight. So, if there's the final 10 minutes and they're protecting a lead, Hellenius probably just sits on the bench and they put Greenway on the third line or something like that. So I would probably go to Buffalo 2. So for me in this game, it goes Buffalo 2, Montreal 1. That's where my interest is.
Nashville Predators, 2.7 total, heading into Long Island. Sucks for all parties involved. The Islanders have a 2.9 total. Nashville going Forsberg, O'Reilly, Evangelista, Stamkos, Bunting, Holla. Islanders going Horvat, Heineman, Palat, Lee, Holmstrom, Pajot, Barzell, Duclair, Drouin. I know this is a 5.5 total, but I think there are a couple things you can play on both sides here. In this game, if I had to pick a line, it's going to be Nashville 1. The problem that I have with Nashville 1 at 16,300, 9.2% top two, 8.7% projected ownership is they're facing Ilya Sorokin. And it doesn't bother me how bad the Islanders are defensively. If Ilya Sorokin keeps up this pace, he is obviously going to be a Vezina finalist. He's having an unbelievable season. I think they're fine just because, Nashville 1's fully correlated, 3.3 expected goals for, 3.8 actual in 265 minutes. They've been great. They're going to see that Horvat line. It's a very small sample. That line has been pretty good defensively, but, it's not super shocking that Andre Palat line is decent defensively, but, it's been 2 games, so let's cut them some slack. We need to see that get bigger. So, I'm fine with Nashville 1 here just because, they're $500 cheaper than Montreal 1. They're fully correlated. I just don't really like stacking against Ilya Sorokin, especially when, Nashville's on the road. And we've never seen, Nashville fail you before. So, they're in a mix for me. I don't think I'll get there in single entry, but, listen, for 16,300 fully correlated against the Islanders, if I was MMEing, they would definitely be in the mix. I think that second line's all right, just because they're 10,800. They've been fairly decent in a 103-minute sample. You get Stamkos on the top power play unit. Like a two-man of Hall and Bunting's 5,900. If you're trying to absolutely just obliterate Edmonton power play into your lineup, you could do worse than Hall and Bunting, I guess, for that cheap. So, but Nashville 1 is easily my favorite on the Nashville side. On the Islanders side, I don't particularly love that top line. I know they're cheap at 14,800, 2.8% top two, 2.5% projected ownership, but I don't love them going into the O'Reilly matchup. For me, I would go to Barzell, Drouin, Duclair. They're 13,600, 0.9% top two, 0.4% projected ownership. I'm not running out to play the Islanders here, but, of the lines, I think they're the best one offensively. If you want to do a one-off Holmstrom or something because he's on the power play, or one-off Lee or something like that, that's fine. But it would be Nashville 1, Islanders 2 for me.
Yeah. Since Christmas, that Nashville top line's at 3.9 expected goals, 5.2 goals per 60 at 5-on-5. They're just absolutely shredding the opposition. Forsberg's pushing 20 minutes a game up late. Obviously, O'Reilly's well over 20 minutes. Even Evangelista's around that 17 to 18 minute range. So they're getting a lot of ice time. They've been really good at 5-on-5. Here's an interesting thing. I was looking at the Horvat Heineman line. Their numbers when they don't have Matt Barzal with them are just not very good. 2.3 expected goals for, 3.2 against. It seems like it's a pretty good matchup at 5-on-5 for Nashville. It's just the goalie in net, right? You mentioned Ilya Sorokin, he very well could be a Vezina finalist this year. I swear to God, this is true. 28 goals saved above expected in his last 15 games.
Just wild shit.
He's saving the team almost 2 goals per game over his last 15 starts. Like, that is absolutely preposterous stuff. You know, he's not going to stay that high, but he has been one of the best goalies in the league this season. You know, I really do like Nashville 1, but again, they're in that 15 to 17K price range where there are just so many options. You know, we just went over Montreal 1. You know, we got Utah and Dallas later on the slate. We'll talk about Minnesota, certainly Toronto. That Toronto second line and first line, actually. So, like, there are a lot of options there. Like, I don't know. If this was a case where they had like a 9% top 2 stack and like 2.2% projected ownership, I'd be like, okay, there's a lot of positive leverage. This seems like a really good spot to get a low owned line that's perfectly correlated. But where their top 2, where their ownership projections coming in basically bang on their top 2, and they have to face Sorokin, like, that's just one of those, do I really need to do that? Like, 20 max and above, I think that's okay. Single entry, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be forcing Nashville in here. Like 2.7 on the road. You mentioned at the top of the show all the totals that we have: 3.2, 3.4, 3.5. Like, there are a lot of high totals on the board. I don't feel the need to go to like a 2.7 Nashville team on the road against Sorokin. So probably out on Nashville in general. On the Islanders side, like, I don't know. I'm not playing. Like, people want to go back to that Horvat, Heineman, Palat line. Like, fill your boots. I don't, you know, I'm glad that Palat had a good game or two or whatever, but like, I don't think he's he's not a long-term top line left wing option for a playoff team. And like I was saying, Horvat and Heineman just really haven't had very good numbers together without Barzal on their line. So probably out on them. I think it'd be, you know, Islanders 2 or Islanders 3 for me in this game. Now, interesting enough, Barzal, Duclair, and Drouin, 69 shot attempts, 2.5 expected goals per 60. That's really not that great. But Barzal and Duclair over the last like 4 weeks, basically since Christmas, like once Duclair got healthy, have generally put up pretty good offensive numbers. Like, they're perfectly correlated on the power play. Not that it really matters. I mean, I guess the power play scored a little bit over the last couple weeks. I don't imagine that's going to sustain itself, but you know, 13,600 coming in with positive leverage. I think Islanders 2 is probably where I would go here. If you want to dip down to Lee, Holmstrom, and Pajot, like I've said it over and over, like I'm a pretty big Simon Holmstrom slappy. I think he's like a very underrated player. Anders Lee can typically drive any line that he's with. You know, that line together, 3 expected goals for per 60, 3.8 actual goals for. They're not a true third line in that, you know, Holmstrom and Pajot will probably play like 16, 18 minutes. Even Lee will be at like 15 to 16 minutes. Honestly, I think I would probably go to Islanders 3 as a filler, just because I really don't care about power play correlation. I'm not sold on the Horvat line. The second line with Barzal, I mean, they've been generating, but like Jonathan Drouin, like I feel like he's just absolutely cooked. And I have a tough time. We'll put him on the slander list for tonight. I have a tough time believing in his upside. So for me, I think it's Islanders 3 is really the only thing I have any interest in stacking out of this game in single entry.
Yeah. New Jersey Devils, 2.7 total. Heading into Ottawa, the Sens have a 3.3. Jack Hughes is out, banged up. He was never healthy. Sit him, for the love of God. Nico Hischier is sick. He's a game-time decision. Based on the line rushes this morning, I'm leaning towards him not playing. I don't know how you feel about it. Like, honestly, I don't know. But, like, who knows? Who cares?
I mean, the thing is like, the illnesses, it seems like that the players have been getting, like, we'll get to Dallas later. I saw that interview with Mikko Rantanen. He said he lost 8 pounds with whatever illness kept him out for like a week and a half or whatever it was. Like, these guys aren't like getting sick and then are fine a couple days later. These guys are getting sick and like 10 days later, they're 10 pounds lighter and can still barely eat. Like,
that's what I have a friend right now. She works in schools, and she said, she texted me this morning. She's like, I haven't had a meal since the 22nd. Like, I just can't eat.
So like, that's the thing. It depends what Hischier has. Like maybe he'll play tonight, but if it's anything like what seems like most of the players have been getting, I don't imagine he'll be in the lineup.
But anyway, if he's out, the lines are just absolute an abomination. Dawson Mercer, Timo Meyer, Jesper Bratt, Cody Glass, Arseny Gritsuk, Lenny Ham. I mean, that's a good third line, but now they're the second line, so that's an issue. The third line is, just guys. Senators going Stützle, Batherson, Giroux, Cousins, Tkachuk, Grieg, Pinto, Amadio, Cousins. So, listen, Linus Ullmark, however you pronounce it, I don't even know. He hasn't been great, but, it has to be an upgrade in net. And the last time I checked, which was, I think, last weekend, Ottawa is the number one team in the NHL for expected goals against per 60 at 5-on-5, or in the top three, something like that. They're really good. The problem is their goaltending sucks. Their penalty kill sucks. But I'm not stacking the Devils' power play without Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes on it. With Connor Brown. Like, there's no statement after that. I'm just saying Connor Brown's on the top power play unit. That takes me kind of out on the Devils here. I guess, like, in MME, if you want to do some Cody Glass, Gritsuk two-man, because they've actually been good together this season, I guess that's fine. But, like, the Pinto line just locking down the Mercer line, I'm out on them. That Stützle line with Batherson and Giroux has been good defensively. So that kind of sucks for the Glass line. So, like, really, I'm out on the Devils and just hope Ullmark just doesn't fall on his face on the penalty kill. On the Sen side, that's where it gets a little interesting to me. The Devils are a mess, obviously. I think, listen, like, the Sens are at home and they're going to send out that Pinto line against top comp. They've been good. Like, Pinto and Amadio have been good together this season. I can't imagine Mercer, Bratt, Meyer being anything decent defensively. Two-man of Pinto, Amadio, I think, is fine. If you want to go to that Stützle line, I think that's fine. Like, they've been good, but, like, I'm at the point where I can't stack the Semstop Brady Tkachuk, even though his minutes aren't great. Like, that line has been by far their best line, and they're sending out the Tkachuk line against bottom six matchups, and that's Cotter, Dodonov, Connor Brown. Like, have fun with that, Paul Cotter. The defensive pairs aren't great. Jake Allen's in net, and he's been the better goalie, but his save percentage is down to just 900 this season. Like, he's sliding. So for me, it would be Cousins, Tkachuk, Grieg at 16,500, 6.7% top two, 6% projected ownership, 16.5. Sandwiched right in between Nashville 1 and Montreal 1 in terms of price. They're at home in a very good matchup, so it would be Ottawa 2. I'm fine with that Pinto line. Also fine with the Stützle line, but, like, at that point, I'm just going to go stack with Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, I think for me, the case for playing New Jersey, I'll start on the New Jersey side. The case for playing the New Jersey top line of Mercer, Bratt, Meyer is I imagine they're going to get a boatload of ice time here tonight, right?
Like, it's fully correlated, yeah.
Right. If Hughes and Hischier are both out, like, those guys are all playing north of 20 minutes. I imagine like they might push like 25 minutes, honestly. As long as, like, it's not a blowout, like if it's not 5-0 in the second period, I imagine they're going to get a ton of ice time. But this is a very bad matchup for them. I mean, one, I was looking at Mercer and Meyer's numbers when they don't have either of Hughes or Hischier on the ice with them. They're at 2.2 expected goals for, 1.4 actual goals for per 60 at 5-on-5. So they haven't been very good. They haven't been generating a lot, and they're going into that Pinto matchup, which is just a nightmare. Even with Nick Cousins there, they've been great defensively, and now it's like, yeah, like, Linus Ullmark is in net, and he hasn't been good this year. He's been pretty open. Like, he had to take a month off for mental health struggles. Like, he went to the players assistance program and he's done a lot of work off the ice. So
same.
I mean, hopefully he's a lot better. And I mean, every case is different, but we also saw that with Connor Ingram back when he was in Utah, right? Like he had, I think it was a parent that passed away.
His mom, yeah.
Yeah, and he was terrible for like a month, and then he took a bunch of time off, and when he came back, he was basically the guy that he was before everything happened. So, I mean, maybe like if Allmark is the guy that we know he can be, this is a terrible matchup for New Jersey all around, and a very bad matchup for New Jersey one specifically. So, honestly, I think for me it might be the second line that I kind of have a bit of interest in. Glass Haminaho, hope I pronounced that correctly, and Gritsuk, 9K. Those guys are 9K. And again, like I imagine at the very least, Glass is probably going to push 20 minutes. I don't know how much his wingers are going to get, but he's going to get a lot of ice time.
Gritsuk's getting pretty good ice time. Lenny Ham might not, but
yeah, but I mean, when the line's 9K,
yeah, who cares?
You can only ask for so much. And Gritsuk and Haminaho, 55 minutes together, 71 shot attempts, 3.3 expected goals per 60. Like they've actually been generating. I got to imagine they're going to be good with Cody Glass. They avoid that Pinto matchup. So like if you're power play stacking like Minnesota or Edmonton or something like that, I think this is one of the second lines that you go and look to. But it is the Ottawa side that I generally have more interest in, and it is that Tkachuk line. You mentioned how good they've been. Tkachuk, Grieg, and Dylan Cousins, 75 shot attempts, 3.8 expected goals for per 60. Even Grieg has 9 points in his last 10 games. They don't get a ton of ice time, but they're not priced like it either, right? Like 16,005, like it's not like they're 19,200 or something, right? Like, you know what I mean? So I think 16,500 is just fine. What kind of sucks is like, this isn't a very good power play matchup for them just because the Devils don't take penalties. 2.1 times shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks.
I mean, they might tonight with all of these guys, but
yeah, that's true. Second lowest rate in the league over the last 5 weeks, second lowest over the course of the season. Maybe things get worse tonight, but yeah, I really do like that Ottawa second line. Like you said, they're going to get, I mean, honestly, I think the depth matchups might even be worse for them because I think that Mercer, Meyer, Bratt line is going to be pretty bad defensively. So maybe you want to go to Ottawa 1, but no, it's Ottawa 2 for me. That line has been very, very good. I think, if you want to make it more expensive, make it more of a power play stack, take out Grieg and put in like Stützle or Batherson or something like that. I think you can do that. Like Stützle at 6,900, like, yes, like, 2,700, 3,700 above Grieg is a lot, but given the price that they're already at, it just makes it like a 20K line or something like that, right? And there's plenty of fillers you can put in, but for me, it's Ottawa 2 that I really do like here. So when have the Sens ever let us down? For me, it's Ottawa 2 and New Jersey 2 in this game.
Now we get to the hard pressing questions. Will Charlie Coyle ruin Jake's night tonight? Let's talk about it. He had a hat trick last night. Columbus Blue Jackets with a 3.2 total heading into St. Louis. That's honestly awful. St. Louis blows. They also have a 3.2 total. They have an arch. Good for them. Columbus going Fantilli, Marchment, Marchenko, Monahan, Johnson, Jenner, Coyle, Sillinger, Olivier. The Blues have a bunch of game time decisions, right? Suter, Neighbors, Snuggerud.
It looks like Suter's going to play. I'm pretty sure they activated him off IR and sent somebody back down to the AHL, so I think he's going to play.
Okay, so what we have right now is Shen, Snuggerud, Bergen, Buchnevich, Neighbors, Kyrou, Suter, Dvorsky, Sundqvist. Let's just start on the blue side because there's a lot of ownership here for reasons that evade my line of thinking. Buchnevich, Neighbors, Kyrou, 12,400, 6% top two, 17.2% ownership. What? Like, I get that they're going to go out against. I get that it's the Blue Jackets, but the Rick Bowness started his boy, Mr. Litkins, last night, so that means the better goalie Mr. Yet Greaves is in net here tonight. That Fantilli line in 130 minutes has been better than league average defensively with Marchment there. 17.2% ownership on the Blues on an 8-game slate. If they were fully healthy and they were running Thomas, Buchnevich, Kyrou or something like that, and they were rolling, I still probably wouldn't do it. I'm out on the Blues. Fuck that team. I don't even care that it's they have a 3.2 total. Like if you want to one-off Braden Shen, you want to one-off Jimmy Snuggerud if he's in, because that line at least, that line is still coming in with like 9% projected ownership. I'm just out on the Blues. That ownership is outrageous. I'm just not doing it. If you want to do it, I would probably go to the Shen line just because, they'll avoid that Fantilli matchup, which is hilarious to say, but they've actually been good defensively. That Monahan matchup and the Coyle matchup, a little bit below league average defensively. So if you had to do something, it would be the Shen line. Just wait and see the lines because there's a bunch of game time decisions if you're interested in playing the Blues. They are that top line. Listen, they're 9,900. I'm still not doing it. But I understand if you want to, just because it's such a good power play matchup and Shen and Snuggerud are on the top unit. Blues power play is pretty bad, but I get it. The ownership's still just silly season. On the Columbus side, that top line is over 18K. They're back-to-back on the road, 18,400, 9.4% projected on top two, 4.5% projected ownership. And, I understand that they're playing the Blues, but 2.8 expected goals for, 3.8 actual, 130 minutes. They're fine. The Blues just don't take a ton of penalties. When they do, they can't kill them. So, from that standpoint, I think it's fine. For me, though, I'm going to go to Monahan, Johnson, Jenner at 12,200, 3.1 expected goals for, 3.8 actual in 125 minutes. They've been very, very good together. You don't get the top power play time, but Johnson and Monahan are on the second unit, which counts for something. I have no issue going to Columbus one here. Marchenko is an absolute monster, and I feel like he kind of skews some expected goals numbers too. All of these Panarins and the Marchenkos of the world kind of it's all the good Russian wingers that kind of really just skew some expected goals for numbers. So I think they're fine, but at that price, I'm not going to prioritize them. I'd go down the lineup to Monahan, Johnson, Jenner. If you want to chase some Uncle Chuck Coyle, I guess that's fine. That line actually has been fine. You want to do two mana Coyle Olivier, Coyle Sillinger as a filler, that's fine. But it would be Columbus 2. If you want to play Blues for whatever reason on this universe, I would probably go to the Shen line.
Yeah, I would probably play Kyrou, Buchnevich, Neighbors just for this reason. They do have a 6% top two stack of any line under 14K here tonight. It's the highest, right? So that's one thing. The other is they're probably going to get good ice time, 17, 18 minutes maybe. Buchnevich has been closer to 20 of late. So they're going to get us good ice time. Small sample, they've been fine, but it is a small sample. It's just a little over 40 minutes. So I think they're playable, but these Blues lines coming in with ownership projections at 3x their top two stack is just one of those that's a no for me, dog. Whatever else we still think of the St. Louis Blues defensively or whatever they might be, this team is tied for last in goals per minute this season with the Calgary Flames, and they're missing their best center and probably their second best winger. So no, I'm out. For me, it's the Columbus side. Columbus one is pretty interesting to me here because I was looking at Broberg and Parayko. They're the shutdown pair for St. Louis. They haven't really been tremendous. I know the Blues haven't been giving up a ton of goals of late, but it's not this top pair that's doing the work. The team's last 15 games, the top pair for St. Louis, 3.1 expected goals against, 2.7 actual at 5-on-5. That's pretty bad for a shutdown pair. that's bad for almost any pair. It's very bad for a shutdown, what's supposed to be a shutdown pair. Now, if you want to say it's the forwards in front of them or all the injuries or whatever, like, okay, but it is what it is. And that's the matchup Columbus one is going to get. And then on top of that, the St. Louis penalty kill is flat out bad. Over the course of the season, Blues are giving up the fourth most goals against per minute on the PK. Over the last 5 weeks, the second most goals against. And while they don't take a ton of penalties, they're not like Vegas, New Jersey, like 2.3, 2.4, right? They're at like 2.8 or something like that, which is lower than league average over the course of the season, but not, one of the lowest. And it's been getting worse as the season's gone on. I don't know, like considering top two stack over 2x the ownership, they're only 18,400 for Columbus one. So you can still fit in like a good secondary stack. Like, you can fit in like Utah one with them. You know what I mean? Like there is a lot that you can do with a line that's only 18,400. I think it's Columbus one I like best. Like I understand that, they're probably not going to keep scoring the way that they are, but 18 to 20 minutes a game for those guys, all on the top power play in a great power play matchup, and ownership under 5% on an 8-game slate against the St. Louis Blues. That's a lot of check marks for me. So for me, it goes Columbus one is easily the line that I like best in this game. And I think the Vucinovic line is playable from St. Louis, but for me, it's just way too much ownership.
Yeah. Toronto Maple Leafs 3.5 total. I don't know what just happened. My brain just disconnected. Heading into Vancouver, the Canucks have a 3 total. Willie Nylander is expected back, but they haven't skated yet unless I missed it.
Yeah, but they practiced yesterday. He was on the second line with Tavares and Michelli.
Yeah, so they're going Matthews, McMahon, Domi, Nylander, Tavares, Michelli, Nyes, Robertson, Roy. Vancouver going Patterson, Kane, Garland, Kampf, Hedel, Carlson, Ratti, O'Connor, DeBrusk. Hell yeah. Listen. They're going to go back to the 5 forward power play, I would imagine, with Nylander back. That second line for Toronto, 15,800, 8.1% top two, 10.5% projected ownership. Like, listen, it's a great power play spot against Vancouver. The Pettersson line is going to go out against the Matthews line. I don't even know who else is going to go out again. Like, your guess is as good as mine. Like, after the Pettersson line, they're running like 3 third lines here. So who knows? I do like Toronto 2 best just because they're fully correlated, but that Pettersson, Garland, Kane line has been atrocious defensively.
Just to jump in real quick, power play yesterday at practice, they left Riley on the top power play unit, moved Nylander on, moved Michelli to the second power play.
Hate that for us. Okay. So audible here. That Patterson line, cheeks defensively. I don't listen, that Matthews line coming in at 17,200 right at their top 2 at 9.5% projected ownership. They're 17-2 with McMahon there. Like, I think I would find a way to just do like Matthews, Nylander, Tavares or something like that. Matthews, McMahon, Nylander. I think, leaving Bobby McMahon in is completely fine if you want to use that top line. I would leave Domi off and add in either Tavares, I'd probably add in Nylander first if you can afford it, and then either one of Tavares or Nyes. So, I think that top line, now that the second line isn't fully correlated, would be my go-to. But I would leave Domi off and add in a power play guy, most likely Nylander. Just go Matthews, Nylander, McMahon, and call it a day. On the Vancouver side, somehow they have a 3 total. that Hedel Carlson Kampf line, 10,400 coming in 4x their top two, basically. That's a scene. But like, I'm not playing a negatively leveraged David Kampf. I guess like a one-off line is Carlson. You could do worse. The top line of Patterson, Kane, Garland, 13,500, 5.3% top two, 7.6% projected ownership. They've at least been decent offensively. It'd probably be that line, but like, I don't really want to play the Canucks here. Like, these lines are just atrocious.
Yeah. I don't mind playing Vancouver as a general rule just because they are so cheap. What I do mind is playing Vancouver when they're chalk. Like, that's just one of those things, like, that just, kind of makes me do a little bit of a double take. It's like, are you really sure you want to play a chalk Vancouver Canucks team? Since Quinn Hughes has been traded, the Vancouver Canucks have the third lowest goals for per minute in the league. The only teams worse are Chicago and New Jersey. That's a problem. I was also looking at Pettersson's numbers with Kane. So Pettersson and Kane on the ice this season without Quinn Hughes, 205 minutes, 46 shot attempts, 2 expected goals for per 60 minutes, 3.1 expected goals against. They're getting absolutely crushed. So I don't know. It is the Leafs. This is a 7:00 Eastern start in Vancouver, so maybe that kind of screws with the Leafs a bit because it is an afternoon game. I don't know. Chalk Canucks for a team that's been really struggling to score. I saw a tweet the other day. I think it was yesterday. I'll try to I forget what the exact date was, but at the end of the game on Thursday, I think Vancouver scored the empty netter to make it 2-0 with like 20 seconds left. It was the first time they had a 2-goal lead in a game since like December 7th or something. Like, that's almost 2 months ago. If the Vancouver Canucks were coming in with low ownership, that'd be one thing, but chalk Vancouver Canucks, I'm out. The Toronto side, like, here's the thing. We've seen it like twice in the last 6 weeks where Nylander has come back from an injury, played a few games, and then left with an injury. Now, he was on a heater before he got hurt. He had 12 points in 6 games before he got hurt. I went and looked. He was shooting 55% in those 6 games. He was averaging under 2 shots per game. He still wasn't generating any shots. He was just shooting 55%. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how healthy he actually is. 6,300, like, the price isn't bad, but I'm going to be honest. This is one of those cases where I'd probably just go to the Toronto top line. They get a great matchup against Pettersson. Toronto won, since Christmas, 2.9 expected goals for per 60. Domi even has 9 points in his last 10 games. We know McMahon has been very productive. At 17,200, bang on their top 2 stack. I think it's Toronto 1 I like best. Like, I have no problem in theory with Toronto 2. Again, I don't know how healthy Nylander is. And, like, it's not like John Tavares has been doing a whole lot. He's under 2 shots per game over his last 16 games. That's 20% of the season where John Tavares is averaging under 2 shots per game. And Nylander wasn't shooting the puck before he got hurt at any point this season either. So, like, I mean, it is the Vancouver Canucks. Like, obviously they can break through. At 6,300, it might be worth it to chance it for Nylander. But I think for me, it's the Toronto top line that I like best here. So they're probably the only line I really have any interest in for single entry in this game.
Dallas Stars, the 2.9 total. Heading into Utah, the Mammoth have a 3 total. Dallas going, let me just pull it up here. Line's projected. Hence, Robertson, Bork, Johnston, Rantanen, Ritzkovian. Utah going Schmaltz, Keller, Krause, Hayton, Peterka, Cheeks. And I think Genther is still out. Yes.
Yeah, him and Cooley skated, but they're not. It doesn't look like they're playing tonight.
Yeah, I'll start on the Dallas side here. Both these top lines are 16,500, 16,600 respectively. The Robertson line has a higher top two at 7.9% projected ownership, or top two, 7.2% projected ownership. That would probably be the line I would go to. Just because, that Schmaltz, Keller, Krause line in a large sample has been fine defensively, but, that Hayton line has been excellent defensively. Depending on who goes out against who, you just don't know. Riskovian with Johnson and Rantanen has been good in a small sample, but Johnson and Rantanen, generally speaking, this season at 5-on-5 haven't been great. So I would go to Hintz, Robertson, Bork here. They have been very good in, over 175 minutes. I don't love them there are so many lines between 16-3 and 17-2 here tonight. There's Montreal that we talked about. There's Nashville. There's Ottawa that could chuck line. I think I prefer the chuck line. So, they're definitely in the mix for those mid-range stacks, but I don't think I am focusing on them in a 2.9 road total. You want to go to Johnson, Rantanen, Ritzkovian, 4.5% top two, 2.5% projected ownership, fine. But I don't think I'm prioritizing Dallas here tonight. On the Utah side, that top line's coming in with a ton of ownership here. 15,900, 10.7% top two, 14.6% projected ownership. They've been very good in a 122-minute sample. But the Hintz, Robertson, Bork line, better than league average defensively. They're going to see the Lindell Heiskanen pairing. Even if they go out against Johnson, Rantanen, Ritzkovian, they're still going to see the Lindell Heiskanen pairing. They're fine, and I don't mind them. But negatively leveraged, almost 15% on an 8-game slate in that matchup is a bit worrisome. I think I would go to Hayton, Peterka, Cheeks, 9,900, 2.2% projected ownership. You get Hayton and Peterka on the top power play in 80 minutes, 3.1 expected goals, 3.1 actual. They've been actually really good. The issue is the power play isn't very powerful, but for that price, you can do whatever you want with Cheeks. Hayton and Peterka 2-man, 7,200. If you're looking at power play stack, something I think is completely acceptable here. I prefer them than the top line just from an ownership standpoint. So that's probably where I'd go. I think Utah one's fine, but that ownership's a bit high for my liking. I do like the Robertson line, but I'm not going to prioritize them.
Yeah, it's interesting. Utah's last game, they went on, they're coming back from a 4-game road trip. The last home game that they had, they sent out the Carconi-McBain line against top competition, but that was with Guenther healthy. Obviously Guenther not playing tonight. I don't imagine they're going to send out Kyler Yamamoto against Wyatt Johnston and Mikko Rantanen all game. So I do think they're going to use Keller and Schmaltz. They haven't been that great defensively. But, it's not like Rantanen and Hintz have really done a whole lot. I was looking at their numbers without Rantanen and Johnston. I was looking at their numbers without Hintz or Robertson on the line. 2.8 expected goals, 3 actual goals per 60 at 5-on-5. That's good. It's not elite or anything like that. Where Dallas, their value came from earlier in the season was the power play, because the power play over the first 10 weeks of the season was one of the best in the league, or the best in the league. Dallas's last 25 games, the top power play unit's at 10.2 goals for per 60 minutes, it's good. It's above average. It's probably 15% above average for a top power play unit, but it's not. It is a far cry from what it was in October, November, and the early parts of December. At that point, they're at 16, 17 goals per 60. Now they're at 10. You know what I mean? It makes a very big difference. I would probably go to Robertson, Hintz, and Bork just because they've been the better line, been able to generate a lot more. 70 shot attempts, 3.6 expected goals per 60 since Christmas. At 16,600, that's why I have some interest. This is a Dallas team. Robertson 8,200 is perfectly fine. Hintz is down to 5,500. He's super cheap. Maverick Bork is still under 3K, and he's been skating like 16, 17 minutes a game of late. Like, I don't know, 16,600. I think they're pretty playable. I'm not worried about power play correlation. So it's the Robertson, Hintz, Bork line that I like best. I don't think I'm going to be playing Dallas here tonight. Like, at least the forwards. Maybe we'll talk about defensemen at the end. On the Utah side, like, it's probably just going to Keller, Schmaltz, and Krause. Just for this reason is they've been good offensively, not great, but good. They get a lot of ice time. They've been skating 19 to 20 minutes a game, and that's because Genther and Cooley are still both out. Like, if those guys were healthy and they could balance the lineup a bit more, they're probably skating 17 to 18 minutes, but they're skating 19 to 20, if not more. And they're going to go out against Johnston and Rantanen, who haven't been very good defensively. That line, that Johnston-Rantanen duo without Hintz or Robertson, 3 expected goals against, 2.8 actual goals against per 68, 5-on-5. Those are bad defensive numbers. And don't forget, like you said, they play like 45% of their ice time with Heiskanen and Lindell. Even with that defensive pairing with them, they are 15% worse than league average. Like, that's like, this is a bad defensive line. So there is some negative leverage here, but this isn't St. Louis negative leverage, right? Where it's like 3x, 11% top 2 stack, 15% ownership. Like, I think that's okay. I'm not super concerned about power play correlation here. So for me, it's just Utah 1. If you want to play Utah 2 or 3 because you do need a cheap filler, I think they're perfectly fine. But I want the guys that are going to play minutes in a good 5-on-5 matchup that have shown to be pretty good together. So for me, that's Utah 1 in this game.
Minnesota Wild, 3.1 total. Heading into Edmonton, the Oilers have a 3.5. Just went and looked before we started talking about this game. They didn't say anything other than Wallstead is starting and same lineup. So I'd assume that means Hartman, Zuccarello, Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Boldy, Johansson, Urhoff, Trenin, Foligno. Edmonton going McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, Draisaitl, Kapanen, Podkolzin. This is a very interesting game. Both teams in a very good power play matchup here. I'll start on the Wild side. I mean, listen, like the McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, and Hyman line, they play so many minutes that they're going to see everyone. They're going to see a fair bit of that Hartman, Zuccarello, Kaprizov line. They're fine defensively. 2.7 expected goals against per 60. That's a little bit below league average. The Draisaitl line in 100 minutes, 2.9 expected goals against per 60. Below league average. Not a great penalty kill just because the goaltenders have been really bad. Maybe that's why they're starting Wallstead to showcase him. But I think, there's a couple ways you can do this here because you can leave Hartman off and put Eriksson Ek on to a top line stack to make it 20,400. But then you're leaving Boldy off. And it's kind of like not this year, but like last year when the Leafs power play was rolling, or 2 years ago, whenever it was actually good. I don't even remember. You definitely just want to go like Matthews, Nylander, and then move on. Like I feel hard pressed just the first two to put in are Kaprizov and Boldy. Like maybe you just go Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Boldy, and make it like almost 23K. There are so many lines in that 9 to 12K range that we've talked about that you can fit them. It's a decent 5-on-5 matchup. Kaprizov plays his 23, 24 minutes. Boldy gets over 20. Eriksson Ek's been actually shooting the puck, which has been an issue for him earlier in the season. So I would do some sort of power play stack. I would find a way. I'd probably, now that I'm saying it out loud, probably just go Eriksson Ek, Boldy, Kaprizov if you can afford it. If not, you can just replace Hartman with Eriksson Ek and just hope Boldy doesn't break it. But that's probably where I'd be on the Wild side. On the Oilers side, listen, you want to just do the top line at 23,700? Like, fine. 4.3 expected goals per 60, fully correlated against an atrocious penalty kill. Again, McDavid, Draisaitl is probably where I'd start. They're 20K for the two of them, which would be the third most expensive line on the night. But I would just go McDavid. Like, it's getting to the point where it's almost impossible to go McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman. So I would probably go McDavid, Draisaitl. If you want, add in Nugent Hopkins. If you can fit Hyman, go for it. It's a great power play matchup on both sides. Just a matter of price and how you want to build. Like, Oilers are just so expensive, but it's a great spot.
Yeah, I'll start on the Minnesota side. I was looking at their last handful of games because it's been 4 games since Joel Eriksson-Ek returned from injury. In those 4 games, Quinn Hughes has been on the ice for 73% of Kirill Kaprizov's 5-on-5 ice time. They are stapling Kaprizov and Quinn Hughes together at 5-on-5. I think that's pretty important. You know what I mean? I was looking at Kaprizov, Zuccarello, and Hughes together this season. 3.3 expected goals, 4.3 actual goals per 60 when they're on the ice together at 5-on-5. Like, they are nuking the opposition. So that's what kind of leads me to going to Minnesota 1 instead of Minnesota 2. It's just getting all that ice time with Quinn Hughes. It's like if I have 2 comparable lines, right? Obviously Minnesota 1 is a little bit more expensive. Actually, a lot more. They're like $3,000 more expensive. But 2 comparable lines. One is going to be playing 3/4 of their ice time with Quinn Hughes, and one isn't. I want the line that's going to be playing with Quinn Hughes. So for me, that means Kaprizov, Hartman, Zuccarello. It's just a question of whether to turn into a power play stack. What I will say is that the Oilers' penalty kill hasn't been great this year, but it hasn't been terrible. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't been like Seattle, Vancouver, Ottawa bad. It's been more like Montreal, Detroit bad. You know what I mean? Like, below average, but not awful. And the Oilers don't take a ton of penalties. 2.5 times shorthanded per game. It's the 6th fewest in the league this season, 10th fewest in the league over the course of the entire year. So, like, the Minnesota power play, it's not like they've been fine, good, but they've not been like, blowing teams out of the water with Quinn Hughes there on a regular basis. So I'm fine with just stacking Minnesota 1, Kaprizov, Hartman, Zuccarello, because they play so much with Hughes. But then you get into the problem. I think at this point, it's not like, do you leave off Matt Boldy? It's like, do you leave off Quinn Hughes? You know what I mean? And he's up to $8,000. So I don't know. I'm fine with Minnesota 1 here because there is positive leverage. I think I'd rather save $1,200 to go play Columbus. Is kind of how I'm looking at it, or pay up a few extra $600, go play Vegas. I just think there are other places I'd rather go in that price range. I guess Minnesota 2 is fine, but I honestly think I'm just going to be fading the Wild here tonight and just pray the Oilers don't here come the Oilers me here, which has been known to happen several times.
Light some candles.
Yeah. So it is the Oilers side. Like, this is a very good power play matchup for them. Minnesota does take penalties. Their penalty kill is bad. Bottom 5 in the league over the course of the season. We know how good the Edmonton power play is. Like, it is getting expensive to put them all in. I agree with you. I'd probably just go Draisaitl, McDavid, and just go about my day. If you want to just play like McDavid, Hyman, I think you can do that. Again, what worries me is like they're going to go quite often into that Kaprizov matchup with Quinn Hughes. Like, they've been fine defensively. I don't know. I think for me, it's Edmonton 1. I would probably just leave McDavid and Draisaitl as a 2-man and then kind of go on my way. But if I play any even strength line out of this game, it's Edmonton 1. I will say Edmonton 2. Kasperi Kapanen's quietly been pretty productive since he came back, which it kind of shocked me. He has 26 shots on goal in his last 10 games. That's not a guy that typically puts up a ton of shot volume like that. Like, I think Edmonton 2 is playable, but this is such a good power play matchup. I would probably just put McDavid and Draisaitl and then just go about my business.
$20,000 too, man. Seattle Kraken 2.6 total heading into Vegas. The Golden Knights have a 3.5. I don't know if they skated yet, but we have Beniers, McCann, Eberle, Stevenson, Catton, Tolvanen, Wright, Schwartz, Kakko, Eichel, Stone, Smith, Marner, Dorofeyev, Bowman, Hurdle, Barbashev, Kolasar. On the Seattle side, like that top line, they play a ton of minutes. They're 14,900, 4% top two, 2.3% projected ownership. But like they're going to go into the teeth of Eichel and Stone. And I don't want anything to do with that. And I know they're fully correlated, but just Vegas just doesn't take any penalties. So probably out on that Seattle line. Probably just out on Seattle in general. I guess like a Wright Schwartz or a Wright Kakko two-man if you really want to get spicy in MME. That's really about it. On the Vegas side, it's a great power play matchup. I wish it was Hurdle, Marner, Dorofeyev because they would probably get that Stevenson matchup, which is always really good. I don't particularly love a Marner Dorofeyev line going into that matchup. So listen, I'm just going right back to the top line. Eichel, Stone, Riley, Smith. They are.
I think it's Barbashev there.
Oh, Barbashev?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Sorry. My bad. 20,200, 14.5% top two, 6.7% projected ownership. I need to learn how to read again. But listen, like going into the Beniers line, they've been fine defensively, but it's just such a good power play matchup that if you want to turn it into a power play stack, you can. You can also leave Barbashev there. They've been good together up there. Turning it into a power play stack, the most expensive iteration would be 23,200, which is still less than Edmonton 1. Go like Eichel, Stone, Dorofeyev. That's the most expensive iteration of a power play stack. So I would do some sort of power play stack. If you can't afford it, it would be Vegas 1. If you want to go to Vegas 2 just because they're going into that Stevenson matchup, I think that's fine. But for me, Vegas power play would the first two people I'm putting in if I'm doing a power play stack are Eichel, Stone, and then one of Dorofeyev, Marner, Hurdle. Pretty much out on Seattle.
Yeah, I think Seattle 3 might be the only thing I really have interest in. I agree with you on Wright, Schwartz, and Kakko. Not that they've been great at 5-on-5, but the Vegas depth, like their third and fourth lines are the ones that typically struggle defensively. It's not the Marner line and it's not the Stone line. I've a little bit of a plug here. I'm going to be writing about Shane Wright for my newsletter on Tuesday. And like some of his tracking data looks pretty good, adjusted for playing for the Seattle Kraken. You know what I mean? We know Schwartz has typically been able to at least stabilize, if not elevate, just about any line that he's on. So if you want to do like a Wright Schwartz two-man or something like that, because you do need cheap guys because you're playing Edmonton or Minnesota or something like that, that line is very cheap as a three-man. They're $10K flat, and any two-man is under $7K total. So I would probably just do like a Wright Schwartz two-man or something like that. That's really the only interest I have on the Seattle side. Like you said, Vegas doesn't take penalties, least penalized team in the league over the last 5 weeks, least penalized over the course of the season. Tied for the fewest power play goals against per game this year. So like, it's just a bad power play matchup for Seattle and a bad 5-on-5 matchup for the top 6. On the Vegas side, like this is a good power play matchup for them. And that's kind of the problem here, right? Is like Mark Stone, 7,400, Jack Eichel, 9,400. You put in like Hurdle, Dorofeyev, all of a sudden you're paying Edmonton money. It is Vegas 1 that I would go to, generally speaking. 2.7 expected goals, 4.5 actual. Obviously, not going to keep doing that, shooting 16%. But going back years, that Barbashev, Eichel, Stone line has just been very, very good together whenever they have been assembled. They're going up against the Beniers line, which is they've been fine defensively, but I think more of it's just the goaltending's been great. And, as long as Decord or Grubauer hold up their end of the bargain, Seattle's always going to look good defensively. But this isn't a case where I'm really concerned about the 5-on-5 matchup as far as the skaters go. Eichel, I was looking at Eichel and Dorofeev when they don't have any of the big boys on the line with them, 2.4 expected goals per 60. Like, they just don't do a lot of 5-on-5. I would probably just stack Vegas 1. Like, if there are cheap guys, really very cheap guys that you would want to play elsewhere, the Utah third line or St. Louis second line or Ottawa third line or Buffalo third line, like those types of things. And you want to take off Barbashev, put in Dorofeev or Hurdle. That's probably I'd probably go Hurdle first, Dorofeev second, and then Marner third. I think that's the direction I would try to go. But generally speaking, the 5-on-5 line I like best in this game, even including the fact that they're 20,200 is Vegas 1, and it's not even close.
I concur. Let's talk about defensemen. Here's the guys 6K and up. We have Zach Werenski, Quinn Hughes. They're both above 8K. Bouchard, Yossi, Dahlin, Sanderson. So I know Columbus is back-to-back on the road. Zach Werenski, listen, dude's having an unbelievable season again. If you can fit him, you play him. I'm not making room for him, but if I'm there, I'm playing him. He would be my number 1. Just off sheer ice time, Quinn Hughes has to be number 2. Like, the dude just does not leave the ice. I think a one-off Hughes here tonight, if you don't want to do like Minnesota power play, I think is fine. And then the guys 6 and 7K, I think Rasmus Dahlin is number 1. We had concerns about the power play with Ostlund, but we both missed that Quinn took Ostlund's spot. So that helps. And Rasmus Dahlin's been unbelievable lately as well. So the guys under 8K, Rasmus Dahlin 1 for sure for me. I think Roman Yossi would be 2 for me, just because he's a little bit cheaper than Evan Bouchard. Like, Bouchard 7,700 is fine. But if I'm paying 7,700 for Bouchard, like, I'm probably just finding the 300 to play Quinn Hughes. You know what I mean? So, Zach Werenski, Quinn Hughes, definitely 1-2 up top. But of the guys under 8K, I'd probably go Rasmus 1, Roman Yossi 2.
Yeah, no surprise. The top projected defenseman is Zach Werenski, but he has 8,800. Of the guys 6K and above, the top point per dollar value is Rasmus Dahlin at 6,800. Obviously, I think he makes a lot of sense here in that matchup against Montreal. I'll mention Jake Sanderson at 6,500. Like, New Jersey's got some pretty key injuries. Maybe the penalty kill holds up, but Sanderson's point per dollar value is fine. It's low, but considering his price, it's not that bad. I don't mind Sanderson at 6,500. So for me, it goes Dahlin 1, Werenski 2, Sanderson 3. Mid-price range, there are a lot of guys to like. Between 5 and 6K, I think it's Montour and Dobson in that order. But honestly, it's the 4 to 5K guys. Like Thomas Chabot, obviously, with New Jersey having all those injuries, I think Chabot firmly in play here. Like, I don't particularly love Morgan Rielly, but he's in a very, very good road matchup against Vancouver, and he's still only 4,300 with top power play time. Philip Hronik on the other side of that game. Shea Theodore, like, I know he doesn't get power play time for Vegas, but he gets a lot of ice time at 5-on-5 with the Jack Eichel line. And he's still playing 23 to 24 minutes a game, even with Rasmus Anderson there. Tony DeAngelo projecting very, very well for the Islanders. He's 4K flat. So I don't mind Tony D here tonight. Under 4K, Justin Falk and Colton Parayko are both at the top of the board, which, like, listen, I always say it, as long as Falk is under 4K, he's in play, and he's 3,500 running the top power play unit. So that's something. Mike Matheson under 4K still, he's fine. On the other side of that game, Matthias Bobby Orr Samuelson at 3,800.
He's having a great season.
It's unbelievable what that guy is doing this year. It's nice to see him healthy and contributing, but he's got 9 goals this year in 51 games. He had 7 goals in over 200 games before that.
He was leading the NHL in like wins above replacement like early on this season, like higher than McDavid.
So yeah, Samuelson 3,500, Noah Hannafin, good matchup for Vegas. Adam Pelech, like he's the guy in the low 3Ks for the Islanders that I like in that matchup here tonight. He's the one paired up with Tony DeAngelo, so he's fine. Under 3K, I mean, Alex Carrier, Matthias Samuelson redux on the other side of that game. He's perfectly fine. Jeremy Lauzon playing on the top pair with Shea Theodore. He's perfectly fine as well. Jordan Spence, like most of the Ottawa defensemen are in play here tonight because it's a pretty good matchup against the Devils. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson for Toronto. Again, going into Vancouver, very good matchup for him. He's under 3K, so I'm in on OEL.
Yeah, we do love Jake Sanderson here because, he's our pal. And, sometimes he joins us, but we're not going to show him because he's preparing for a game. He's probably sleeping right now. But let's talk about goalies here. The top range is not great, Bob. Like, this is Olmark's first start in over a month. If I knew he was healthy, I knew his mind was great. Yeah, 8,400 is a little expensive, but I'd play him. Dealing with mental health stuff the past few months myself, I don't exactly have the best days still. So, like, I need to see it from him first. I think in the top range, if I had to start somebody, it would be Joey Woll at 8,300. If he starts, if it's Stellaris, fine. Joey Woll has been better. But I'm starting at Sorokin at 7,900. Like, I don't even know if he's the top projected or what, but like Sorokin at 7,900 is my favorite in the top range. I'm going to include him in the top range because he's 7,900. And then it's like a bunch of the mid-range and cheap guys I like. Casey DeSmith, I think very playable here tonight, 7,600. UC Saros, 7,500. Jet Greaves against Los Blues at 7,400, definitely in play here. And then, listen, I don't love it, but the Seattle starter is 6,900. And I think they're fine. It's not like going up against Tampa where you might see like only 23 shots. Vegas, will probably have more than that. So I don't mind the Seattle starter if it's Grubauer, Decord. Even if he gives up 4 goals on 39 shots or something, it won't kill you.
It's a lot of shots, man.
Seattle sucks.
Yeah, that's true. The over 8K range isn't really great. Like, Allmark is the top projected goalie. And it's really not that close. Like, it makes sense when you think of all the injuries that the Devils have, but if I knew Allmark was the guy that we've typically seen from over the last 3 or 4 years, that's one thing. If it's the Allmark we saw in the first half of the season, that's something else entirely. This seems like a pretty good game to get him back in, though. Like, no Hughes, no Hischier, probably. So
the price sucks, though.
He is a top projected goalie. So there is that. Ilya Sorokin's right behind, well, not right behind, but he's behind him, and he has the highest point per dollar value here tonight. So I really do like Sorokin at 7,900. The other expensive goalie that sticks out to me is Joseph Woll. As long as he starts at 8,300, it's on the road against Vancouver. Vancouver's having trouble scoring. So I think that's fine. But like, if I'm looking at the top range here tonight, I'm probably just playing Sorokin. That's the way I look at it. Like, I'm not playing like Bennington or 8,500 Akira Schmid or Tristan Jarry against the Wild, or like, that's just not for me. For the cheaper guys like Saros at 7,500, I think makes a lot of sense. If you don't play Sorokin, you only have 7,500 or less to spend. I think Saros is perfectly fine. Jet Greaves, 7,400 against St. Louis. It's like 7,400 Jet Greaves or 8K Jordan Binnington. Like, I don't know, man. Seems like an easy decision for me.
I think you do know.
Yeah. I mean, I hate having that much confidence in a goalie, but it's easily Greaves I prefer in that game. And whoever does start for Seattle, I haven't seen a confirmed goalie yet. It might be Grubauer because they've just been rotating goalies a little bit lately. But they've both been playing like extremely well this year. So whoever goes for Seattle, if you need a sub 7K goalie, I think is perfectly fine.
We'll be back on Monday. We have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, leading into the Olympic break. 3 weeks off after that. Who you liking for your hat trick pick?
Let's go to a team that I very much enjoy watching and is in a very interesting matchup here tonight. I'm going to Nick Schmaltz from Utah.
So funny because like the Blackhawks traded him because he just didn't shoot, and now he's just a great player. Classic Blackhawks. Classic Stan Bowman. I don't know why I just went on a Stan Bowman tangent, but I am going to go. He is the header on my Twitter profile. I'm going Ridley Greig.
That'd be interesting.
Listen, you got to keep it spicy once in a while, but good luck, everybody, tonight. We'll be back on Monday. We'll be in the Discord. Good luck.
Good luck tonight, everyone.